In the Streets in the Rain. The former was Butch Moore of the then Capital Show Band, and one of the writers was Teresa O'Donnell. We have two of those people with us, and someone else that's here in studio that remembers it for different reasons. The road manager of the Capital Show Band, Sean Spoofer Jordan. You're welcome, Sean.
Thank you, Pascal.
What do you remember about that mad period? Because it must have been a mad period from my remember of it.
Well, it was unbelievable. Butch won the National Song Contest, which led up to being Ireland's first entry in the Eurovision. And he went through Naples. He put on a fantastic performance, and the homecoming was unbelievable at the airport. The crowds, thousands there, greeting him back home. It was really unbelievable.
Butch Moore on the line from Boston, where you now live. First of all, welcome.
Thank you, Pascal. How are you?
Very well indeed. It's good of you to take the call.
And great to hear the spoofer talking there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's brought back memories. When you think now about the marvellous crowds that have been greeting the Irish football team, I'd say that in a way you've done it all and seen it all.
Yeah, it was something similar, Pascal, because being the first, everybody was into it that year. And it was a great thrill.
Yeah, Teresa O'Donnell, who's with us from her home in Curracamp in Kildare. You're very welcome, Teresa.
Hello, Pascal. Hi, Butch.
Hello, Teresa.
And
Great
hello
to
to Spoofer.
Hello, Teresa.
Teresa, who was the co-writer of the song? We better not forget.
The co-writers were George Prendergast and Joe Harrigan from the Army No. 3 band in the Curracamp.
Where are they now, Teresa?
I believe Joseph is in Dublin. He's married in Dublin. And George is still in Newbridge. I know he's listening in tonight.
So what was the inspiration for Walking the Streets in the Rain?
Well, at the time I was 16 when I wrote this thing. I refer to it as a thing. I was writing bits of what I thought were poetry. And the two guys got their hands on this and they said, that's the song. You've got a middle eight and a hook line, which was double Dutch to me, you know. And it started from there.
So what happened then when you collaborated on the song? Did you go in and do a demo on it, or did you sing it on a cassette or whatever?
No, at that time you sent in a manuscript.
Oh, so it wasn't a performance.
Piano, yeah, a lead line and chord symbol was all you sent in at the time.
With the lyric sheet.
With the lyric sheet. And somebody sat down at a piano and played each one of them, which was a hellish
Which was
job.
Noel Keelan.
Really, was
That's
it?
right,
Noel
no,
Keelan.
yes, it was.
So,
yeah.
when did you first become aware that the song was was in with a chance in the National Song Contest, Teresa?
Well, I thought we were going to finish last. No harm to Butch. I knew we had the very best singer we could possibly have. But, you know, like Butch says, you never think you're going to win. You know, that kind of thing.
Were you in the audience for the National Song Contest?
I was in no, I wasn't in the audience for the National Song Contest. I wouldn't stir. I lost my nerve. I was very, very young, Pascal. Right. I wouldn't go near the place.
Okay, so, Butch, moving on, fast forwarding in a way to Naples, because there was obviously a couple of weeks of preparation. What were those couple of weeks like? You had won the National Song Contest. You were now representing Ireland in the first ever international song competition. So, what happened?
It was amazing. It was hectic. And of course, Spoofer's there with you. He can tell you. All of a sudden, we became from a well-known, respected band. And of course, the lads were all the best musicians, you know, the Capital.
Sure.
But all of a sudden, we were huge. And the Spoofer became like a bodyguard and a road manager.
Yeah.
And everything. It became like the Beatles.
Spoofer, what happened? You can obviously trace from, as Butch says, being literally an overnight national sensation. What sort of things happened that you remember so much about the Capital and being the minder? And because all the photographs of the time, inevitably, Butch, as you know, you'll see the crowd, you'll see the band, you'll see your head somewhere, but the Spoofer is there with arms spread, trying to hold back.
I've got photographs all over the house up here.
So, what was it like? What sort of things do you remember about that? And what was the impact as you went around the country leading up to
Well, it was
Naples?
unbelievable. We take the Arcadia Ballroom in Cork. We booked in to play there the week after Butch won the National Song Contest. And the enthusiasm was so great down there, for days before we went down, that we finished up having to send Butch down by train. We couldn't bring him in the van. And when I arrived at the ballroom with the van and the band, we had a big coach that time, they kept climbing up the side, but trying to look in to see was he hiding under a seat.
Yes.
And it was at 9 o'clock that night that I think it was Jim Doherty, the manager of the band, came with Butch by train. And I went across the road, and the crowd followed me. And we couldn't get back into the ballroom for about an hour and a half.
But just to remind me, you came, it was a very high figure. Was it 5th or 6th?
Sixth.
But it was actually like I won it because of the fact it was being the first.
That's the point.
Much excitement.
Absolutely. So I'm just curious to trace with Teresa
Actually,
from home. What was the reaction in the studio in Dublin when the voting went through and you saw that for a while that he might have won and then he hit 6, which was something incredible.
Up to the halfway into voting, we hadn't a vote on the board at all.
Really?
And
so
then
it was a bit like Austria, nil de pointa.
Yes, exactly. And then
or Norway, is it? I'm sorry. Yes.
And what the heart stopper altogether was that we gave Britain a fairly good vote, and then they didn't give us. We were dependent on Britain, you know, as we thought. But Switzerland, I'll always remember, Switzerland gave us the max.
Really?
At the time,
and
yeah.
And Italy, the host country,
gave us 12 as well, and that is as well.
They gave us
something like that, yeah.
So, Butch, in Naples, you're preparing for this marvellous experience before millions of people. Can you kind of, at this distance, give us a bird's eye view of what it was like, and what did you do leading up to the night?
It was very exciting, Pascal, and I actually looked at it like an athlete. I went out, I did a lot of swimming in Ireland. I swam 2 hours a day, then we had a rehearsal every day, and I watched what I was eating and everything. And
can you remember the voting and where you were and what was going on?
Oh yeah, I knew that the host country, Italy, were really behind us because they did a lot of their television and radio interviews around me at the time because they had seen the rehearsals, but they were behind the song 100%.
What was your own thoughts on that, the people who were with you on your way home, about how the reaction in Ireland? Had you any awareness of the impact this had had in Ireland?
Well, no, we didn't think there'd be much to do because of the fact it didn't win and all that. And I was happy that I did as good a job as I could do, and I thought the sound was great. It sounded even better with the full orchestra, 80 pieces and all that over in Naples. But we didn't expect what we got at the airport. It was just amazing.
So can you take us through that as you were landing?
Well, as we were landing, the amazing thing, it was raining, seriously raining. It was like a big rain. And there's about 6,000 people at the airport. And the first person I saw was the spoofer, of course.
Holding back the 6,000?
Yeah, and he's with the mayor and all that, the band and everything. And I couldn't believe it that they turned out on this, this awful night,
Booker, can you relate to that night as well? You mentioned it earlier.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Like, I was overcome because Butch had done so well. We were all thrilled, Paddy Cole, Jimmy Hogan, all the members of the band, Eamon Monaghan, they were all thrilled with Butch's success. But then, when we came to the airport, all the band arrived out at the airport, naturally, they could not believe it, the reaction of the people. It was like as if, just as you said earlier, that we'd won the World Cup.
Just to kind of wrap this up, looking back on it, is it something that stood out as being the premier event in your life, or
Absolutely.
Where does it rate?
Yes, for certain. Yeah, definitely. In my entertainment life, yes, that was the major thing. Yeah.